people have very useful information, people have very useful ideas, and we can only know those ideas when we sit in such kind of a forum and are able to listen to what people are going through, what they think about certain issues, and how they think we can come up with ideas to address those issues. And when we have this kind of conversation, then we are able to come up with a way forward at the end of it all and say, this is the direction we need to go in regards to this matter. And when we have that in one voice and we are able to walk the journey together, I can assure you, you'll be able to see meaningful change in this country, in your neighborhood, in your county, and everywhere that we find ourselves living in or working in. We want to ensure that in every corner of this country, communities are speaking the same language of peace and good neighborliness, so that we don't have a scenario like what we had in 2007, where neighbors are going after each other, brothers are against each other. But we say that elections are just to give us leaders, and after that we should live together as brothers and sisters and continue supporting each other.
Election is not an event, it is a process. And that's why as communities that are organized, we must start understanding it as such, so that we participate in a process that can be free, peaceful, and secure. You have an active role to play. Now, what are the roles that we can actually do or take part in towards a peaceful election? Number one, and this is the most important thing, that if you don't remember anything I say, please take this home. Engagement of candidates. You know, people say that politics are dirty game. I don't want to get in politics. But remember, it affects the price of food you put on the table. It affects the cost of living. It affects the price of fare from Thika to Nairobi to Homabay. So we must engage politicians and candidates within our communities as organized communities. One of the ways of doing this, as CARA for example, you can initiate political engagement with both camps. What CARA can do, engage both sides and try to understand what do they stand for. That way, you shall be lowering tension among them, because they look at it like we are all both engaged from the community, the same people, with that shared value. The other thing in terms of engaging you can do as CARA, you can use your influence in the community to access these political leaders, you know, that seek office, whether it's presidential, gubernatorial, member of county assembly, and in doing so, you shall be trying to instill leadership, because you are a point of authority as an organized community, and they will seek your inputs when they're looking for votes. That is true. You will be shocked as we go forward, the outcome of that election, where candidates are engaged by the community. You will actually own those candidates, and you can tell them on their faces that if you go this route, then this community, the professional community, the CARA community, will not vote for anyone who goes against our ideas. That is the importance of engaging candidates. The second thing is public communication. I speak a lot of times on radio and national TV, and every time I get into a studio, the first thing that comes to my mind is an opportunity to audition. Because what comes out of your mouth can make or break. The other thing that we must do is media sensitizing as a community. The media plays a very big role in terms of passing the message. But the media is also sensational. The media carries information and reports that information when you are seated in your living room and you're watching it. And then you consume that information, then you get out of your house and you walk into a workstation, your business station, then you start thinking what the media reported and take it as the gospel of the truth. Then you act based on what the media reported, because you believe the media. What CARA as an organized community community must now start sensitizing the media on the need to report objectively, on the need to report fairly, on the need to censor hate speech from the political podium. Because you will be preparing this country for a peaceful election by telling them that history teaches us that if we go that route, for sure, they will end up in 2007. The other thing that we must do as organized communities, our role is legislative advocacy as an organized community. In short, what this means is that organized communities like Kara can collaborate with political parties. Independent candidates like him is a political, I can see he's a party candidate, to ensure that there is compliance with the electoral code of conduct. So that what you advocate for is what has been legislated on, it is a law, and you advocate for issues that they must comply. For example, all political parties sponsored and independent candidates must sign to what is called a code of conduct before going to the election. Kara can pick that up and say, within our community, we want to know how many candidates have complied with the code of conduct that states as A, B, C. And if you have not, then we encourage you to go, because as a community of Kara, we believe that it is only through that our business will be secure, our members will be secure, and our country will be secure. You are actually averting a problem. The other one, a role that we must play as Kara and as an organized community is peace commitments. We must persuade the political class, government officials, to make commitment to peaceful elections. They must, and I was just sharing with the lady earlier, Kara can actually decide and say, in this election, because we are key stakeholders, we are going to ensure that all the competing candidates, particularly probably at the presidential level, sign a peace commitment and we put it up as a billboard with their picture and signature. So that should anything happen after this election, we can point and say, you, candidate A, on this date, you signed and committed to a peaceful election. You, candidate B, you did the same. We hold them accountable. So peace commitments is holding politicians to account. The aspect of political debate has been witnessed before. In the Western world, they value debates because it's the only platform that you can actually choose your leader. In Kenya, we value rallies. That's the difference. The more your rally is filled up, the more we believe that you will win that election. However, that is not true. Community who are organized like Kara must now start initiating debates from the community. You can do it on a small scale. For example, if there is a residents association in Thika, for sure, Thika is in Kiambu County. You're going to have a governor, you'll have a senator, you'll have a woman rep, you'll have members of parliament, and you'll have MCAs. How about you organize for Kiambu County and say, we know we are a peace-loving community, and we want to invite every other candidate to this forum here. Come and tell us that as Kara, these are our demands. How prepared are you when you win this election? How prepared are you to deliver some of these that are putting on the table? And tell us, how are you committing to a peaceful election so that even when you lose, our business as Kara, our initiations as Kara will carry on. Those are political debates that we must be ready to start with. The last one, I think, is community-private diplomacy. Diplomacy is reaching out to even your enemy. And what that means, it prepares you to start mending fences before they break problem. So you reach out to competing candidates, for their assurance of peaceful elections, because of your influence within the community. Reach out to them to avoid inflammatory remarks, promote national cohesion with the community. I saw a representative attack the president of the NCIC. You ensure that you reach out to them so they can ensure and guarantee local business continuity within the community, pre, during, and after this election. Because that is the area that is disturbed most when you have electoral violence. And then also, you can also successfully lobby candidates to publicly sign peaceful campaign pledges. So as Kara, you know your goals. If you identify some of your goals and tell them, because you want votes, and because for us, we are a political Kara, we are not supporting either side. We want you to sign to a campaign pledge that is going to secure the lives of our members as Kara, the lives of our community as individuals and families. That is the most important thing that you can do. Then community security and social cohesion. Very important. And this brings to the core of security during, during, and after. Within us here, as members of Kara, we have got business community, we have got professionals, we have got chamas, we have got the youth, we have got the women group. If we have a multi-stakeholder engagement, and we say, you know, the president used to tell us that usalama unaanza na mimi. It means if myself I'm not secure, then this country is not secure. So it is my duty to start identifying hotspots and candidates for violence in this election and stop them through campaigns that can be media related, can be community related, can be what we are doing here now is a campaign to stop this, because we know that it's a potential, it's a possibility. They also say there's a strong link between social exclusion and insecurity. If as Kara, an organized community, you feel that you are excluded in this election in terms of stakeholder engagement, then there's a potential that your members will not be happy with some of this that are happening. And when you raise your concern, then you will be marked as a community that is not doing the right thing. So what you must do, you must come out and say, we are stakeholders. Because first of all, we are Kenyans. And the second thing we are an organized community that believes in free, peaceful election. So the first thing you have to do, you have to ensure that your security and the social cohesion within where you stay is at par. That one you can do knowingly or unknowingly. But I want us to start making it deliberate. Because this election, the stakes are very high. Okay? As organized communities, we are very key stakeholders in this election and in society. And therefore, as communities, we must strive to facilitate electoral services and ensure security. As organized communities, we must advocate for an official community level emergency response policy. In short, that is what the president used to call Nyumbakumi. You know your neighbors, you know what they do, you know what have they come from, you know what they are capable of doing. So you have to be sure if you are a resident of that area as far as elections are concerned. Information sharing between various election actors, the business community, government, faith-based organizations, that should strengthen our coexistence. And lastly, umbrella community organizations like Kara must be strengthened by bringing people together and taking active role in ensuring that the elections are peaceful. Election violence is not an accident, because election is a process. If you don't prepare for election, during and after, you are actually preparing for violence. So as communities that are organized and know that is a possibility, particularly this time when you are going to an election, that we have seen the dangers, what are we doing now to ensure that after 10th of August this year, we don't come out and say, but the way we started seeing these signs, why did we act? We must act now, not today. Thank you.
What causes insecurity? Whether ni insecurity kwa sababu kuko na crime kwa area yako, whether it's a political violence, whatever any other problem you might be having in your area, inaanzia wapi? Anytime you see a human being. Watu wananiambia hapa kwetu hakuna shida ya security hapa. Na wauliza iko binadamu? If the answer is yes, you have a security problem. Whether it is a hospital, whether it is a prison, whether it is a church, anytime you see a human being, and especially who does not follow any discipline, any rules, na mambo yake ni yake peke yake na tumbo yake, you are looking at a security problem. Hatuwezi kuwa na manyumba mazuri, hatuwezi kuwa na mashule, hatuwezi kuwa na nini, hatuwezi endelea kwa biashara, hatuwezi endelea na kanisa zetu without security. It is not possible. Is it possible to fight? Yes, because there are what? Opportunities. There are somebody who wants to gain, and somebody else who wants to lose. Winning at all. Thank you. That is what politics is all about. Winning at all. We have become a country where nothing else matters except my stomach. We have brought up children who think life is about instant coffee. It's about how much I make, and it doesn't matter. Unless our leaders change their mind and the way they conduct politics, we will have a problem. We must change it. We must change our way of thinking. That is what it's saying. That you and me have a role to play. How organized is your residential association? How organized is your business community? How organized is your church to anticipate and prevent these possible situations? The minute you introduce interests, opportunities, you are literally facing a likely scenario. Look at the Kenyan situation, Jamani. Kenyan situation is very, very complicated because you can capitalize na poverty ya mtu. You know, even in crime, even in terrorism, when you are starting to take advantage of a situation for an intent, you are basically dealing with that somebody's vulnerability, and that is what crime is all about. That's what insecurity is all about. This situation that we have got here, it will take advantage of our women, of our children who are jobless, of our young people who of course want money, who are our drug addicts. So basically what am I saying? That security situation is taking advantage of a situation, and we must be careful about it. What is our first line defense? We as communities is to be aware. Sawa sawa? You and me, kwa nyumba yako, discussion yako na bibi yako, kwa makanisa, we need to create this awareness. That if we do not talk to each other, then we will be vulnerable. Somebody will take advantage between you and your wife, some between you and your son, between you and your cousin. Will it happen? Yes, it will. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu wewe utashikwa na ule ugonjwa wa Kenya. Na ugonjwa wa Kenya ni nini? Nini watu? Mahali inaitwa shilingi ikipatikana, mambo yote yanafanya nini? Mambo yote inapotea. Hii mambo ya mtu anaamka from nowhere, hajakuwa kwenye maendeleo ya kijiji, hajakuwa member ya community, na amekuwa Nairobi muda mrefu, alafu anakuja na waambia niko na maono. Hakuna kitu rahisi to take advantage of anybody except taking advantage ya nini? Poverty. Ukitaka kuwa kiongozi kwenyu, ni lazima upikie watu na uwanunulie chai. The problems politics start is the time when now we start knowing huyu mtu ni Nyeri, na yule ni Murang'a, na yule ni wa. How come sikuona hiyo mbeleni? But all of a sudden sasa naanza kumshuku because this mzee does not come from my clan. All of a sudden now I know which clan he belongs to, because somebody wants to take advantage of that situation. When I drive Naivasha, that young man who looks at my car, I am a potential enemy. That, where did it come from? Who is propagating that? And when you propagate that, what are you doing? Does it happen in terrorism? Yes. It is the same process. It is the same mechanism because you are dealing with a human mind. Haya mambo tunazungumzia, hii mambo ya employment, hii mambo ya lack of enforcement, hii lack of collaboration, jamani, it is what is going to eat us and it is what people can take advantage of. So what is the game changer? Game changer is the community. Ni nyinyi watu ambao wako na structures, ni wale viongozi wakina mabwana kanake hapa, religious leaders who have the platform, who have the opportunity to tell us nothing but the truth. So, are we committed to community leadership? Are we committed to seeing your country, your local kijiji, progressing beyond today and tomorrow? Irrespective of who wins, irrespective of everything else. Because iko kitu mimi sielewi. How can you tell me today wewe unabelieve sana na hii party and tomorrow unahama from red to green, from green to yellow, from blue to green? Therefore you never believed on anything this that means. Information is key. Network is key. Building trust with your neighbor and the person who is next to you, irrespective of what tribe, of whichever party that he belongs to. I don't have to be an enemy with him because he has decided to be with a certain party. Okay? Kura yangu ni siri yangu. It is very easy to deal with people who are divided. It is very easy to deal with watu ambao unaweza wakatakata kwa visehe. Ubuntu nasema I am because you are. I cannot exist without you. If we have established communities and securities and we trust each other, okay, we must remove our mind from politics, from hatred, from calling each other names, to remembering that I will need him today, tomorrow, and the day after.
I'm a secretary of Thika District Business Association, which our main goal is advocacy and on engagement with the government institution and all the stakeholders. Without this, and when there is war, business does not thrive. So as a business community, what we have advocated and what we are still advocating is positive engagement of all the stakeholders in whatever we are doing. And one of our main things is we are an advocacy as a business community. On this direction here, what we are doing, we are giving all the aspirants a chance to come and sit with our members, tell them what they stand for, our members the reason, so that as they make the decision, they will be able to make a decision based on the information they have gotten. So we are an ambassador, we don't support any candidate. So we call them, we engage them, so that as our members make a decision, as we agree on the way forward, if there are any issues, and whatever we are telling them, we want a peaceful election. Where there are issues, we are trying to solve them.